Hello all, how are you doing? I hope your preparation is going on a high mode. So on this very note, let's start quickly this session. In fact, this is the last session of the environmental bodies in India. That I'll be ending with the National Green Tribunal, National Green Corps, Wildlife Conservation Trust, and some of the other environmental conservation movements. Before that, I'll tell you about some glimpse about this personal guidance program by Aurora Sir for all the Hindi and English medium students, where he'll be guiding you step by step. He'll make you feel the difference because of the online daily style table that will be designed according to your individual basis. All the material required that is enough for your authentic preparation of the UPSC mode is provided with this personal guidance programs. You can always contact with the below mentioned details. So the next portion will begin with the National Green Tribunal, which has been established in 2010 under the National Green Tribunal Act of 2010 for expeditious and effective disposal of cases, because there have been pendency of cases in the Supreme Court and High Court. So the government of India has been always getting the request of establishing a separate body that will deal with the environmental related offences, because the conservation of forests, environmental protection, natural resources, and giving the relief and compensation of damages to persons and property, a specialized body has to be equipped with that can handle the environmental disputes involving the multidisciplinary issues. It is also a quasi judicial status because it will have powers of the principles of natural justice, not that of a criminal procedure code or civil codes. And its benches are at Bhopal, Pune, Kolkata, Delhi. New Delhi is the principal bench, as well as it has four zonal benches in Shimla, Shillong, Jodhpur, and Kochi as well. So, what all acts under which it will hear about issues? One is a Water Prevention Act, Water Prevention and Control Pollution Cess Act of 1977, Air Act of 1981, Environmental Protection 1986, a Public Liability Act 1991, and Biological Diversity Act of 2002. For all of this, next session is what I am going to cover all the acts and policies of the Government of India, especially the National Green Tribunals Act, which under which it has jurisdiction. Everything we'll discuss in the next session. And now the chairman. Who is the chairman? The eligible chairman of this organization is a judge of the Supreme Court or a chief justice of a high court, with various other judicial members of high court will be also appointed for the judicial expertise. Then comes the next body of Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, which was established under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, which is a bureau in by giving a statutory position in 2007. It does the bureau complements the efforts of state governments, and primarily with the act provisions that wants to stop the illegal destruction of the biodiversity of the plants and faunal species. So that is what Wildlife Crime Control Bureau does. It collects, collates all the intelligence related information, like which all areas lots of crime is happening, preparing a data bank, having some kind of coordination efforts with the local communities, following the conventions and protocols, assisting some authorities with kind of relevant information in the international for the international organizations, as well as Indian Police Department. Also, it will try to give some kind of information and track the crime upholders, and it can also advise the government on issues that relate to the wildlife crimes and suggest the changes in policies that are required every time and then. Then in the current affairs portion related to the Wildlife Crime Bureau, there is a portion called the Operation Thunderbird, which is a code name under the Interpol's mission for multi-species enforcement of protection of wildlife. What it does is there are many animals that have skin, coral, snake venom, leopard skins. So these are very important value that will go, these prices of these bodies of the animals goes up to crores and crores of rupees. So when this is illegally traded, the Wildlife Crime Bureau, the importance is that it will successfully coordinate with the state officials and try to nab such activities. Whenever such activities happen, it will try to enforce some agencies and stop against the fighting against the ecological biodiversity. So that is one of the recent programs. It was given a very good response from many other states also, Operation Thunderbird. Then comes the next Operation Save Kurma, which is also another portion of specific species Operation Turtles, where the enforcement agencies have some focus on trade routes and trade hubs through which these sea turtles are traded from India to the other locations. Then the next board is a Central Pollution Control Board, which is a statutory organization established under the Prevention of Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974 Further, what happened it is has been given a responsibility of not just planning and executing, but also preventing and controlling the water and air pollution by advising to the central government, by bringing out some coordinating activities of the state pollution board members, and providing such technical assistance so that the implementation of the Environmental Protection Act of 1986 rules will happen, will be enabled. Let's come into the next National Green Corps, which is a children can be catalyst. Analyzing the situation, that children can act as a catalyst to promote the mass movement, recognizing the environmental issues, environmental friendly attitudes and behavior patterns among them can be significantly described and shown as a difference to the local community, that what kind of an awareness that has to be generated in a village, city or a state, so that at a local and a global and an international level there is an embankment on the major initiative of creating a global awareness among children to formulate the National Green Corps in 2001. It is another initiative of Ministry of Environmental and Forest Research that will operate through eco clubs set up in schools, that will have a in-depth field experiences conscious of students. It will direct their consciousness, like they will channelize towards the good things of the society by promoting the school society interaction to sensitize the society. So that is National Green Corps. Then comes the Wildlife Conservation Trust, which is an NGO organization that can separate communities from conservation. It focuses equally on the Wildlife Protection Act as well as the community development or technical support and consultancy. Then Wildlife Conservation Trust also imparts some vocational training to the young people so that they can coordinate with other job providers to find gainful employment, and they can reduce some kind of a negative impact on forest. That is Wildlife Conservation Trust, which is an NGO, large scale tiger population estimation also it conducts. It will also conduct the scientific research to push up more robust wildlife management, as well as conducting the health camps that will bring in relief to the villagers as well as forest department staff with diagnostic health checkup camps and provide the clinical consultation. So that all in all is the Wildlife Conservation Trust. Next comes the National Afforestation and Eco Development Board. What does it do? It promotes afforestation, tree planting and ecological restoration in the country. A special attention was given by the regeneration of those important water quality, improving it in the water bodies, or tree planting, afforestation. So all the processes in ecologically fragile areas will be brought up into a better situation, better location to stay in by National Afforestation Program. That is the Eco Development Board. Next, let's come and see some environmental conservation movements, just like the Chipko, Silent Valley, and Apico movement. Now, Chipko movement is in 1970s. What happened was there was a disastrous flood in Alaknanda River in Gharwal. Local people were very for the first one to link the disaster with the ecological change, that they've understood that because there is a deepening crisis of non-violent Gandhian resistance called the Chipko movement. The movement is in the sequel of felling the trees for nearly half of the century in the destructive way in the middle of the Himalayan jungles and terai jungles. So what happened is, as the flooding has occurred, soil erosion has occurred, land use patterns have changed, the water in the area has been dried up, and Chipko people have understood that because the trees are being cut, this is happening. The movement started in April 24, 1973, where a tiny village of Uttarakhand, Gopeshwar, extended many of the parts of the region, and this movement attracted attention of all the governments, environmentalists, and then experts, also scientists, also then educating the local people about the afforestation it does, as well as conserving camps to know how these eco camps work and all that. You can always just Google it out. You can see the eco camps is nothing but where people are just grouped up, they start afforestation programs in their locality. Then comes the Epico movement, which is a part of the Karnataka government, where the Britishers took away the community ownership and control of the resources. Then Karnataka was covered only with thick forests at that point of time. The government had begun cutting down the trees eventually for the revenue growth as a colonial policy that is affecting the hydrology, breaking of water, recharge cycle, and drying up of the streams and erratic rainfall it resulted in. Such is important that that's why the Karnataka people who are located in the area have understood that hugging the trees and conserving is very important. Stopping such activities is very important. And then comes the Silent Valley. Silent Valley struggle is another movement, nationwide movement against the hydroelectric project, which was destroyed part of the summit part of the Silent Valley, a unique track of 9,000 areas in the Western Ghats portion, where the government, what it does is Silent Valley struggle. They'll be quiet, and it is led by the Kerala Shastra Sahitya Prasad. The students all over it. There were a group of intellectuals, academicians also included. A nationwide movement against a hydroelectric power plant which was being constructed over the Kuntipuja River. The Silent Valley struggle has started, and the kind of public opposition to the development of the environment as such, with the efforts towards the reducing the kind of degradation that is happening through the project proposals, is made through good decision making from now on. That is what kind Silent Valley struggle has erupted.